Alright, hello everyone. I'm gonna have to make this somewhat quick. I guess I know where Tyler is, but I think he might have forgotten, which isn't a problem because right now I don't have a lot of time to do this, but I'm gonna try and do it anyway. So this is the Overclock Workshop. It's a series where we come up with ideas for overclocks for different bits of equipment in the game, such as weapons, tools, and grenades. Unfortunately, the devs have probably never been more against anything than giving overclocks to traversal and support tools. I decided to do it anyway, which is why this series, at least for the tools, needs to be reoriented a bit in terms of what it's supposed to be. The unstable overclocks I'm going to be pitching will definitely represent just sort of crazy ideas that can probably only be done if overclocks are added to these tools. But I think there's still value in these, in that most of these, including some of the unstables, sort of represent mechanics and upgrades, or just things that I'd like to be folded into the current support and traversal tools, whether that be through adding overclocks or through adding more upgrades and making room for more upgrades by folding currently existing upgrades into each other, or just adding new mechanics entirely that I think would be really appreciated by a fair number of people, including myself and Tyler, as that's what you'll see in this one. Obviously, our thoughts on the Satchel Charge have been made clear before. Specifically Tyler's, and he believes it should be something else entirely. I don't know if I actually ascribe to that belief, however. Not that I favour it particularly in any way. So let's get into this, and I'm going to see how quickly I can do this. I think you understand once we get started. So we have a clean overclock here called Propulsion attachment. Allows you to throw the Satchel Charge like a grenade, and also if you don't have kill switch equipped, your charge will detonate on impact. You should be able to do this already, but given how weak your flimsy little arms are, we decided to just strap a small rocket to the charge. So this is sort of the idea of the Satchel Charge being a grenade, which we like a lot, and we think it should be how it is. I think it comes down to the HE grenade possibly being swapped out, which would also allow room for a more interesting support tool. If that won't happen, but this overclock still represents mechanics I'd like to see added to the Satchel Charge. And being able to throw it the fact that you can't throw it like a grenade is one of its, is it part of its identity. It would, not that it would be redundant, it would actually obviously be better if you could throw it like a grenade, but because you can't, that's sort of forms a lot of how it works. But as an upgrade, I think it's quite fair, possibly even in, competing with ammo. Would allow you to hit things much further away and much more accurately, and that's simply it. I think a lot of people would not be surprised by how much more fun and how much more useful they find the Satchel Charge if they could throw it like a grenade. Now, the second part of this overclock, if you don't have kill switch equipped, the charge will detonate on impact. So kill switch is a mod that already exists for the Satchel Charge, that allows you to pick it up. I like playing with the idea of possibly. The reason this is written this way is because as an overclock, that mechanic can only really work if you don't have kill switch equipped, basically. That's the whole point. Realistically, though, it would be much better as an upgrade in that same tier, where you could either take kill switch, or you could have it so that it detonates on impact. Unfortunately, a bit of the point of the overclock overall is that those two things do go hand in hand, in that it probably wouldn't be very preferable if the Satchel Charge exploded on impact if you couldn't throw it further than you currently can. So, if there's anything to draw from it, it would be the first point. At the same time, I do like there being an alternative to kill switch that provides a similar amount of utility, just in a very different area. And that's what it comes down to. And like I said, I stand by the point that I think people would not be surprised by how much more fun they have and how much more useful they find the Satchel Charge if they can throw it a lot more accurately and a lot further. And that's basically that. How about a balanced one, though? One is directly inspired by Tyler's Trojan Grunt idea, which you can see in the video where he pitched 4 season themes. We still haven't finished that, actually. It's meant to be 9 in total. Anyway, KAMIKAZE can attach Satchel Charges to teammates as well as enemies. It also applies fear to attached enemies who are as a question. Ignores immunity. Taking any damage from a Satchel Charge will instantly kill any dwarf, and reduced armor breaking capabilities. Etu Brute. So I'd like to cover the negatives first, in that they're not meant to be that big. Armor breaking is not what you use a Satchel Charge for. You might still notice it, however. And also, it means it's much more dangerous to you and your teammates. I know some drillers are actually like that. It's more so compensation than actually affecting the performance of it as a weapon. But yeah, so the Trojan Grunt idea that you would send a grunt into a nest of glyphids with Satchel Charges strapped to it. I guess now you can kind of do that. It draws from the sticky grenade mechanic of being able to be stuck to enemies, which is actually the only grenade that can do that. But given that the Satchel Charge sticks to the ground as well, maybe it should be able to stick to enemies. But the whole idea is be able to send an enemy back into the horde to explode it when you want to. Now, this works on the sticky grenade somewhat, but obviously on a Satchel Charge it would be far, far more devastating. I also very much so like the idea of being able to attach it to your teammates and essentially use them as a suicide bomber, if you like. Probably your scout. Or yourself. I would like the idea you'd possibly be able to throw it up in the air and have it land on you, so you could do it. But yeah, that's more of a co-op thing. Now, the fear thing is more so to do with being able to send any enemy back into a horde and have them blow up. But really, this only applies to oppressors, and I don't know if that should be taken away. So realistically, it probably should not ignore immunities. That would also mean you'd be able to fear Dreadnought with your Satchel Charge, which would be extremely useful, but would definitely require greater penalties, in my opinion. Either way, I think it doesn't take much to consider the usefulness you'd be able to get out of being able to attach your Satchel Charge to creatures and teammates. And I say creatures because I think it should apply to all creatures. That could even be loot bugs, or cave angels, perhaps. You could fly a cave angel into a horde of Bacteria and explode it. I think there's a lot of potential for fun here, and a lot of potential for utility. I think it's probably a bit stronger than the clean I suggested, which is why some downsides are required. At the same time, a true pitch for this would require me to suggest how it would be folded into the current mod selection. And I probably could, once again, being able to attach it to things, to Satchel Charge to something, would very much so suit a kill switch alternative once again. I just checked something, and yeah, kill switch is the only upgrade in that tier, so I think that works out for us. Anyway, on to the final one. Now, remember what I said about unstables? Nuclear Winter. It permanently irradiates carved terrain with the strength of gamma contamination. But we have reduced max ammo, and charges take 5 seconds to detonate after activation. Now, in a lot of ways, this can only really exist as an overclock, but I'm still going to treat it as something that could possibly be added, which means we need to knock off the idea of it being permanent. I think, first of all, drillers just like explosions and they like radiation, and I think probably a lot of driller players are jealous of Fat Boy. But I think if we're going to take, obviously, the Wave Cooker has gamma contamination, but that's not Fat Boy. If we're going to take the idea of Fat Boy and put it anywhere else, it belongs on the Satchel Charge, I think. Yes, that's really what this is. Reduced max ammo, obviously that's a little bit weird. I think if I wanted to suggest how this would be folded into the game as is, without it being an overclock, it would probably be having the fallout. So it would essentially just be, I think realistically what it should be is like the Fat Boy strength fallout, the radiation that you get from Fat Boy, as an upgrade that you can take instead of ammo. I think that would be quite fair. But I also really like this mechanic of having a timer on your Satchel Charge, which I would actually spin into a further upgrade. And this would actually play with sort of slightly external mechanics, as in your mod selection, you would click on the upgrade that adds the timer, and then it would give you an option to set the timer in your upgrade equipment terminal. You actually have to type it in. I kind of like that. Or they could just add a 5-second timer as an upgrade if people like, but that wouldn't feel like much of an upgrade, you know. That would be pretty in the lane of the disabled inertia inhibitor, but even more potential to be a downgrade, actually. But yeah, radiation on the Satchel Charge is something that I have a pretty strong belief in, not necessarily from a balance standpoint, but just more from a conceptual standpoint. I think pretty much every driller player would appreciate this, and I think it would actually be quite powerful, especially if it lasted a long time. It would make an individual Satchel Charge even more useful against bigger targets and large groups of enemies that are larger than the radius itself, and against bosses and against stationary targets. I think it would provide a lot more combat utility. The Satchel Charge is sort of limited in that area due to its ammo, but I think if you just make it that much stronger, then the ammo is no longer a problem, and you could even excuse taking this in exchange for less ammo. And that's sort of my take on that, and that is the nuclear winter. And you can tell what the point is. We know every driller dreams of this, so go on, live that dream. Anyway, so I did that very quickly. I hope Tyler isn't annoyed at me for doing this on my own. He did not contact me today, though. I do think he might have forgotten. And I did want him to see these, but I'm in a rush, so that's fine. Anyway, so what can you expect from Barrel Vision this week, though? Well, we'll probably live stream tomorrow. We will live stream the Lunar Festival event on Thursday, however, and review it on Friday in the form of a podcast. Saturday will be another tier list, so you can look forward to all of that stuff. If you did like any of these ideas, please make sure to comment below, or comment your own ideas. That would be lovely. Comment your favourite, comment if you think any of them are bad. Comment your opinion on traversal support to overclocks in general, because that's a bit of a discussion that's being had right now, and I think it's a discussion that should be had. I think about 90% of the community is in favour of that, and I think the reasons given by Ghost Ship and defenders against the idea of adding new support tools or new overclocks for them, they have a point. Their points are very valid, but I think the community's desire for variety is a bit too strong to deny forever, which is why I think these videos still hold value. And the grenade ones, when they come along, will probably hold even more value, because adding more to grenades, whether that be through overclocks or upgrades, is not something that the devs have ruled out. They said that it's possible, not necessarily something that they're interested in, but that's okay either way. I'm here to potentially make a case for that, but realistically I'm here to mainly just make a case for things that I'd love to see on these tools, and I think I've done that. And hopefully Tyler sees this and agrees with me as well. Maybe he won't, maybe he will. I don't see how he can disagree with the KAMIKAZE one, though. Anyway, that was today's Overclock Workshop. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to rock and stone, and by rock and stone I of course mean like and subscribe. Thank you very much. See you next time.